welcome to the top of the world. It's wood cutting season. Before I start, I sharpen all my chains. I've got 6 over there and this one is 7. Do I need 7 chains? Yeah. Just while I'm getting everything ready, service the saws, sharpen up all the chains, make sure I've got everything I need. I've sharpened up 6 chains yesterday. This is number 7. So the really old chains, the end of life chains, I sharpen up in it. So mark up the first tooth and then away I go with my... What we do need is this. Yeah. It's definitely, let's refresh it with a new file. So some of you won't be at all surprised that I sharpen all my chains by hand. And that's all of my chains sharpened. So I'm pretty much loaded up. In my excitement this morning, I didn't actually realise what the temperature was. We're right on the cusp of where I feel comfortable. So the most comfortable cutting temperatures, I think, are between -12 and -18 Celsius. However, I like to break myself into that. Today it is, well, it's -18. What's that? It's about 3 Fahrenheit, I think. Right, let's show you where we are. Right, so we're filled up with fuel. We're good on the Snowmobile. We'll just put our flask in there. On our top box, we've got everything we need immediately. We've got our wedges, our grips, our chainsaw, our axe. In my trailer, I've got all the rest of the equipment. We've got my files, chains, chain oil, petrol. I've got the big still in there. I've got some shovels. I've got extra wedges, helmet. That's all in there. What's going on up there? I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Right. So we're going to go and make a start. This year, we're going to do something a little bit different because we've got the tractor and forest trailer. We're going to make some landing areas so that we can haul all our wood locally and quickly to one point. Where the tractor can have access, we're just going to pull them together. Anything big, we don't need to dig out and lift this year because it's just, you know, my back. We're going to have another operation in a minute if I'm not careful. So there's, it's got to be Ellie, Moose. Yeah. So just so we're clear, if you travel that direction in a straight line, right, there's nothing between us and the Norwegian border, and there's nothing between the Norwegian border and the North Sea. Or are we in the Arctic, top of the North Sea? No, we're above the North Sea. We're way above the North Sea. I don't know where we are. Anyway, if we continue straight in this direction here, right, we should come in around 300 miles north of Nome is where we are on the overall scheme of things. Right, extra hat, glasses, gloves, and then we're off. Snowmobile shed. Oh, good job I looked in there. Now, I don't know for sure whether we're going to need these, but it's better to have them than not to have them. Well, here we are, back in the forest. Right, anybody laughs at my hat, get stuffed. My mum bought me that hat, she did, and I'll tell you why. My ears are damaged, and they get damaged further every year that the sun comes out, and every time the sun touches it. And I can't have pressure on it because it aggravates them, right? And they blow up like cauliflower ears. So she found these, right? No pressure. Look at that. Lovely. Anyway, it's enough on me hat. Can we see the sun? So nearly over the horizon. I'm going to show you this because I know some of you just love the scenery. So we've punched in our trail, right, without the need for snowshoes this year because the snow's not as thick as it is normally. And we're on the far, far boundary. Where's the boundary tree? There. Turn you around. All right, that one there's boundary tree. Everything on the other side, you can see this new growth. Right, this is a result of clear cutting. So all the land that way, right the way till you see the other boundary marker tree, right, that's been clear cut. We're not doing that. So we've come up this boundary, and we did some of this last year. Through here is a bit thick. We need to do thinning, and we've all done that before. So you see that group there? That's never going to work. So you take out the biggest and the strongest one. I mean, you leave the biggest and the strongest one and take out those around them, leaving less than adequate spacing so that you can continue to thin. Because if I just go through here and take all this out and just leave the strong ones, then there's no firewood for next year, obviously. So, and you've got too much, and then it deteriorates over time. It does take a few years before it deteriorates, but it does deteriorate. So ideally, for burning, you want your wood to have a moisture content of 8 to 12%. Okay, so we've got a little bit of work to do through here, but not too much. And we've been up working on the far corner. This is kind of where we finished last season. So these here, see how these are spaced? I'm going to leave those, and I'm going to rip through there and take some of them little spindly things out the way that are too small and no good. This side is not too bad. We'll get on to moose in a minute. Right, so this one here is no good, and the reason for that is it's got no top. Can you even see what I'm looking at here? There, top's gone. Right, and the one behind it is really good. So we can take this one out because it's not going to do any good. This one here, that's pine. We want to leave that. Right, we definitely want to leave that. So we want to take out a couple of things around that. We leave the three big ones there. That one, and that one. And then take out the little stuff around it. And that's how we'll work our way through, taking out anything dead, rotten, diseased, or now too big and doesn't need to be there. So what do you mean, Simon? Well, if that one there, the tallest one, had a large enough girth at the bottom, I'd take it. And I'd take that for construction lumber. See? Because there's plenty of big sized trees around it. But it's not big enough yet. Needs another 30 years. So I'm not taking that one. Okay, so that's how I'm working on it. If it ain't big enough and you haven't got to have it, you just leave it alone, and then the next generation can crop it. But that needs 30 years on it, so I won't ever see it come down, will I? And that's how we work our way through. So I'm up in the far corner because that's where I've decided to start this season. And we did go through some of this last year. So we've got a scenario there. See where those two trees are really close together? Both trees are really healthy, but one of them has to go. So you've got a choice there. Do you take the small one, which is only any good for firewood, or do you take the slightly larger one, hoping you can get some trims out of it? Well, probably further inspect the health of the two trees and take the larger one if I think I can get something out of it, because that'll give us firewood and it'll give us some construction or furniture timber. Everything else is all right in there. You can see we're right on the boundary. You can see where the all the trees are the same size. This is where the neighbouring boundary was. In there is a cave, right there, right there. Now I'm hoping that's empty, because if it's not, I'm not prepared for a visit, and you don't want to wake a sleeping bear. Now what have we got here? Well, we've already started. We've started with this big bent birch that was leaning over in the middle of here, and you can see we've got other birch coming up, and I left that one last year, and a fir that was hard up against this one here, so we've taken that because that's a good size. So we've got firewood there. I can get some small boards and, I don't know, maybe a post out of that one. 4 here, so we leave the biggest one and take the 3 smaller ones, or we take the big one, which will provide good firewood, and leave the smallest one and take one either side. So sometimes I feel there's a chainsaw there, make sure I rip my other leg on that. So these 2 trees here, this is the very, you'll see the cave in there. See that? Fascinating. I cleared through and cut through and opened this up. There's a big space here. Well, you can only see the tops of one. I'm hoping the others didn't get killed by moose, but that's actually got a dozen trees in there. And the same here. I don't know if these trees are too small. When I cleared through here, this was replanted. Not all the trees take, I've got to tell you. You kind of rely on numbers. There's moose scratchings there. See how the tree is scratched up? And then there's a track there. You can see that. That's moose track. So am I always aware here? All through this valley, we had the close incident where my Casper saved my neck last year. That was, I don't know what that is, 50 metres in that direction, and then 200 or 300 metres, that's half a mile in this direction. And when I cut, the younger female moose come and stand back in the trees, and what they're waiting for is they're waiting for the tops. So I'm always aware I can see lots of moose tracks. I'm always aware that the chainsaw attracts the moose instead of scaring them away. We'll just keep moving down through the boundary, clearing the boundary as we go, and then we'll move inbound and do another strip. It's all small stuff this week. Next week will be some of the bigger stuff, but I'm not hauling the bigger stuff on the sled like I have done every other year, because now we have the 4-wheel drive tractor with the forest crane, and it's going to save my back. Even this, you know, you've got a, doesn't look very big, but I can't lift it. I have to drag it, and none of it does my back any good. Anyway, so we're not whining because it's such a beautiful day. I think it's minus 14 or 15 Celsius. Perfect working temperature. My toes are cold, and I put my new boots on. But am I on snowshoes? Yeah, snow depths, funny depth. It's not particularly deep, but it's too deep to walk through without snowshoes. So, as always, on the snowshoes. Right, we'll move down. Here we are. You have no idea how long it's been, but we've had 2 large snowfalls, which involves ploughing. Did I film any of that? No. We've also had an extreme period where we dropped right down to minus 40. That's minus 40 Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit. What can I hear? Playing tricks on me. Anyway, we're due for probably the largest single snowfall of the winter tomorrow, which is going to roll out what I'm doing tomorrow and then the next day, because I'm ploughing. So you can see where I've come down this way and where I've cut 1 or 2 or 4 or something out of there. Anyway, the last snowfall wasn't so bad, probably 10 inches or so. On top of that, tomorrow's going to be much worse than that. Here, I don't know where we are now, 4 or 5 feet. So, right before you all set the comments alive, it's not deep enough to wear snowshoes. I go through that every single year. Well, you can't tell how deep it is. So, trust me, right? You can't walk off the snowmobile trails without snowshoes because you can't do it, right? So we have to wear snowshoes, as trippy and as dangerous as they are. Just in case I get asked, if I forget to mention it before, am I digging down to the bottom? No, I'm not. It's way, way, way too much work for what I'm doing, but I come back through as the snow disappears, sometimes before the stumps start to bleed, and I want the stumps at ground level. I don't want stumps up, they tend to tip the tractors over. So I'm going to cut as far down as I can, then when I come back I'll cut the stumps off. Them stumps go for splitting for firewood. Alright, so if you were doing this commercially, you would dig down and you would want to get the tree right up at the bottom. But if I did that, I'd be here forever, and you can't leave high stumps and stalks. You've got to come back and recut, just to clear that up. Okay, that's a better job in there. Why have I put that on there? Well, for those of you who don't know, if you genuinely heat by wood, you have to light a fire every day, sometimes 2 fires in a day, and therefore you need plenty of kindling. All of that goes into firewood and kindling, all of it. We use everything. Okay, I'm quite happy with that for now. We'll look how, I wanted to save this one here when I cut the birch down next to it, because there's 3 small firs there, that's the biggest. See that? Nothing good is going to come of that. That's moose attack when it was little. Anyway, we leave it there. Right, next one. this end of the property is too tight for the tractor to go round. And since there's no use for this, I'm clearing this completely, and that's going to allow the tractor to get access to the back of the property, which is in a mess. So we're going to do away with this whole bunch here, and then that will give me a turning circle. That's the plan. For those of you that know me, perfect. And now comes the painful bit, because cutting this little corner out is, it's like clear cutting. It's painful. Anyway, it's for the overall good of what I'm doing. And sometimes you have to make decisions that don't sit well with you. And these trees are part of that decision making. Nope. Still not feeling better. Right, I really want to be leaving that one, but I think I got enough room now, and we've been all this weedy stuff at the back here, it's all got to come out so that we've got enough room. There's the creek right there where I drive through, that's the creek. So that's not the boundary, but we got to be aware of that. So once I've been cutting up there, once all this spindly stuff is all right, I'll be able to come right round here with the tractor and the Skogsvagen, the English forest crane, the tractor and trailer with the forest crane. Once we yeah, okay, so it's not a full load, no, it's not a full load, and the reason for that is because last year we got that second-hand replacement carpet. Oh, I can't keep going between Swedish and English, and my Swedish is not that good. Carpet, what's it called? Track, right, track, okay. And we had to staple it together with metal. That's last year, so there's a video of that. Well, I still stapled together because it's long and it's a wide track, and they're expensive. It's like the third of the entire cost of the Snowmobile. So last year wasn't that kind to me financially, and I can't afford to just, well, I can't. So it's still stapled together. And of course, when that finally splits, if I'm out here, then that's the end of the Snowmobile, and possibly abandoned for the rest of the winter, because obviously without a track I can't even pull it. So I'm being as careful as I can and taking the smaller loads as I can. That's quite a heavy load on there, but and I'm just taking it easy because I need that track to last this season. You'd think, being stuck out in the middle of the day where you wouldn't get many visitors, would you? Well, there's my friend over there. Hello, Simon. Looking very orange. Right. So you can see where we've got to and what we've brought back. That was a bit blurry there for a minute. As I'm riding, I realised it's not that cold today at all. So the really, really heavy snow that they forecast doesn't appear to have come. It just appears to be steady, not unless, I mean, it's still quite, you can see up there, it's quite a white out on the mountaintop, but it's not that bad, but you can see how thick the snow is there with our trails, and how quickly you can lose a trail. So if I'd have known it was going to be like this, I would have continued cutting today. I'm not quite sure where this clip's going to fit into the video. Precipitation forecast doesn't seem to be as heavy as it is. So I cleared this area here 1 hour ago. We're going to do a test old school, to see what has snowed in the last, it's actually 55 minutes. So I back dragged this with a tractor, jumped on the Snowmobile. We've just done a ring around our outer forest trail, and we'll see what's fallen in the last 50 minutes. Let's see if I can show you. Casper wants to help me with this. So this is an hour's snowfall. 4.5 inches. That's what that is. Could you say 5? 4 3/4 inches per hour. Oh. Now, I'm still going to have to convert that into metric for all the metric people. For some reason, I thought that tape measure was metric and imperial. Now, I had a metric and imperial tape measure, but I have no idea what happened to it. Metric and imperial tape measures are my favourite. 4.5 inches is 115 millimetres. Thank you all for watching, sticking with me. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you like the content. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.